I'm concerned, man. I'm truly concerned about Florida. And I'm sure the fans of Gainesville are as well. I'm concerned for my season win total parlay. And I'm concerned that this just isn't a one-off. I'm concerned that the Longhorns coming in a few weeks from now might not be the greatest contest that we anticipated. But then again, regardless of what the headlines say or how the press paints the picture, both of these teams were not impressive this past weekend. And yes, I'm talking about Texas. They weren't impressive this past week in that win. Georgia wasn't impressive. LSU, I'm going to give them a pass because I know they're probably on cloud nine after getting their first season opening win in over 5 tries. A little bit hungover. But Ole Miss wasn't impressed. See, the funny thing is, as I sit back and monitor these games with my season win total parlay in mind, yeah, I took a flyer on this before the season 16 lottery ticket parlay. Texas UGA over 9.5. Auburn, Florida, and Texas A&M over 7.5. Kentucky and Arkansas under. I continue to watch these Missouri games, though. And I forget, though I was down on them for this year, I didn't put them down as a leg. And oh boy, am I a bit relieved by that. Because they look pretty good so far. And it seems like if that was the case, I would have ended up as the biggest loser. But for now, the biggest loser goes to Billy Napier in the University of Florida. This is iHeart SEC.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard.
Toughness of the SEC. And it's a clash with character and quality people as well as talent.
Those guys have so much pride.
I have to be better in every aspect of my game.
This is iHeart SEC
with Joe Bombo.
We need more dogs.
iHeart SEC. I'm your host, Joe Bombo. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Bombo ENT Group. That's BOMBOENT Group. Make sure you hit the like button, please. Share and please subscribe. If you like to comment, let's keep these conversations going and keep the engagement on 10. Oh, how soon do they forget? I remember around this time last year, Florida played Miami, and boy, did they get boat raced from coming out in the beginning of the game to the end. And the Florida faithful, they weren't having it for Lagway to step forward. And after that first game, my God, those fans in the swamp did not waste any time getting after Billy Napier with the Billy, you're a bum statement. Like, damn, this is week 1. And they're giving it to him. But this episode was basically the maturation of DJ through Merck's injury and early setbacks. It set the foundation for Florida's future. But one thing's for sure. By this early controversy in week 1, if this team doesn't hit the ground running this year, those Billy Bum statements won't be too far behind. Well, here we are. Oh boy. And his seat is hotter than a piece of gum on a Miami-Dade sidewalk about now. Here's the silver lining, though. You have a rival on deck in LSU. So instead of going in fat and sassy at 2-0 and smelling yourselves a little bit, you're going with a chip on your shoulder. Your antennas up. Wanting to inflict the same disappointment you felt last week on your opponent. Because it's getting deep for Florida. LSU this weekend. And then you have revenge versus Miami coming up. And there needs to be a course correction ASAP. And honestly, unfortunately, I'm not sure if Billy Napier can navigate that. We'll have to circle around back to that here shortly, but let's get into our game notes. Texas, San Jose State. Staying on that topic of course correction, that's exactly what was needed for Texas. And yeah, they have some cupcakes on their schedule, make them feel good on a Saturday night. The part we expected to be unimpressive has in fact been the most unimpressive part of this team. Texas didn't start the game the way we imagined. And I'll say imagined instead of hoped for. Penalty on the first play. Deep ball overthrown that almost got intercepted. They proceeded to gain a total of 16 yards on their first two drives. No points. So at this point in time, I'm thinking the defense is going to need to give this team a spark to get the offense going. And it seems that they'll have to butter their bread all season long. We asked the question, who's the alpha in the wide receiver room? Wingo, dropping passes. Moore has been a bit inconsistent, though they had equal amount of catches as Parker Livingston last week, who seems to be the security blanket for Arch and the receiver he trusts the most, which is very important moving forward. See, Manning's first three touchdowns, ironically, were Livingston's first three touchdowns, as well as one of the best tight ends in the country in Jack Indries. So during halftime, I get a notification from ESPN. The headline, Manning throws 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes. But in my notes, I said, Texas could use a defensive big play to spark the offense. Let's look at that script right there. That was at 7:31 when I wrote that note. Manning hits a wide open Parker for an 80-yard touchdown on their following drive. San Jose State goes one play, throws an interception at 2:51 remaining in the first quarter. Manning threw the ball combined 7 yards to score his second touchdown. San Jose State, 2 plays, fumbles. 36-yard touchdown to Indries. 3 more San Jose State plays, another fumble. 3 plays, 16-yard touchdown to Indries. They had drove the ball a combined 71 yards on the 3 touchdowns that they got. That's outside of the 80-yard bomb. 71 yards. And most regular drives, that's 1 drive. That was 3 for Texas. This was a span of 12 seconds remaining in the first quarter, all the way to the 13-minute mark in the second quarter. I don't even know why I say all the way, because that was only 2 minutes in the second quarter. 28 points were scored. Only 10 points the remainder of the game. I say that because this is important. If you're not watching the game and you're looking at box scores, we cannot become a victim of headlines and sensationalizations. It made me think of what Desmond Howard had to say regarding Chuck Manning.
Now, moving forward, you said what's going to happen. Any analyst who talks about Arch Manning, they always wraps it up with, yeah, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But in this sport, with that name, being fine just doesn't cut it. Being okay just doesn't cut it. That's not what they're known for. That's not what he's at Texas for, to be fine, to be okay. So I do think, obviously, like all these other teams, it's their first game. Will they get better as a team? Of course they will. They should. But you knew you were playing Ohio State the first game of the season. Ohio State knocked you out of college football playoff a year ago. You would think that you would be better or more prepared for this game than any game going to the season, simply because of those factors. So it was kind of disappointing, really, to see such a lackluster performance from them. And I think that what you'll see now, Rich, is that they'll go up against inferior opponents who don't have the roster that they have, and Archer put up some numbers. He'll have some nice throws. He'll have some incredible runs, and then people will be, saying how great he is again. But they may struggle in the SEC going up against some of these tough teams if he doesn't get it together soon.
With that said, quite honestly, I don't want to hear shit about Arch Manning for the next couple weeks. Call me on October 4th. Then we can really begin to dive back in and entertain those conversations. But make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, please. So the Texas A&M game was going on within 45 minutes of the Texas game starting. So there wasn't much SEC action on TV in the early schedule. A stark contrast between the two, I have to say. See, both teams at halftime, this is what the score was. Texas, 28-7 as a 37.5 point favorite. Texas A&M, 30-6 as a 29.5 point favorite. Let that sink in. Because to me, honestly, it shows who's taking care of business early on in the game. Texas A&M, Utah. Marcell Reed is looking good this year. And I'm doing a breakdown of the top wide receiver quarterback duos in the SEC. And to be quite honest, I would be remiss if I didn't include Reed and Conception in this conversation, on alongside the likes of Lenore Sellers and Nick Harbor, Nussmeier and Eric Anderson, Jackson Arnold and Cam Coleman or Eric Singleton, whoever decides to emerge as they go on. Marcell Reed on the year, 66.7% completion, 500 yards, just a little over 500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 18 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. That's in a total of 6 quarters, to be quite honest, because he sat the majority of the fourth in the first game, and he didn't even take the field, I believe, halfway through the third quarter of the last game versus Utah State. So I went to X after that, after checking his Heisman odds, and this is something we could definitely consider, and we should definitely consider if you know how Heisman rankings go and how they shake out. We know Arch Manning was the unrivaled favorite at the beginning of the year, with no credentials to back it up. So sometimes it can be based on hype. Marcell Reed, 35-1 to win the Heisman Saturday when I checked. Jeremiah Smith had lower odds. Hell, even DJ Lagway was ahead of him. Neither have been impressive as Reed so far in the season. And he hasn't even ran the ball the way that he's capable of doing. So after I seen that, I had to tweet on that. Then I came back and checked back the next day on Sunday. 25-1. Marcell Reed is on Heisman watch in my books, and I'm putting it out there. And just wait till after this Notre Dame game this upcoming week. If he has a solid performance, I mean, we all see what Carson Beck was able to do versus his defense. Why can't Reed do the same? It helped push Carson Beck into the Heisman conversation when I believe he was 60-1 before the season began. I believe he'll have a great performance against Notre Dame. I believe Texas A&M will win. And that will set the stage for him to jump into the Heisman conversation. And I'm standing on that. That's value. Ole Miss, Kentucky. According to Pro Football Focus, Austin Simmons, 47.3 passer rating. Both quarterbacks were horrible in that instance. Combined for a very subpar rating, according to Pro Football Focus. That's exactly what I seen when I watched this game. It was subpar. Ole Miss, I put it in my notes, Ole Miss must have been scared by Simmons' decision making because after the first quarter, they relied way more on his legs and did their best to minimize the throwing. I have concerns for Simmons and this Ole Miss team as we move forward. We might be due for some regression. See, this upcoming year, I had Ole Miss winning 10 games. I don't see that being the case right now. Unless there's a drastic offensive improvement, I see a signal caller who's very turnover prone. And it's not even just the interceptions, it's how they come about. They're blatant missed reads and bad decisions. They have him listed at 6'4" if you check out the ESPN site. But he plays really small. This is iHeart SEC.
Do you know what day it is? Do you know what day it is? It's game day! W-I-N! Win! Win, 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 win! Game day! Ah! Let's go, let's go! Woo!
UGA, Austin Peay. The only thing that stunk on this day, though, was the play of UGA and the sequence that took place at the goal line. And the stop that was made by Austin Peay. Seriously. We're really talking about Georgia getting stopped at the goal line by Austin Peay with 5 chances to get it in there. This is a Georgia team we're talking about. Where's the explosion? The running game dominance. So this is how it goes. They get the first down at the 1 with 38 seconds left. Then the first play from the first and goal, they run a short pitch to the short side of the field. 33 seconds left when he got stopped. Second play comes with 14 seconds remaining. So 20 seconds were wasted from play 1 to 2. That's very questionable. Then the next play, they throw a rollout to the right, which is the short side of the field to Cash Jones, incomplete. After a penalty, I believe. They throw again to the short, they throw again into a quick slant, which is incomplete. Almost picked off. Actually, sorry. They threw again to Branch to the right short side of the field, which was knocked down, almost picked off. Incomplete. Then they throw a quick slant, which went incomplete. 5 seconds remaining, and they decide to hand the ball off to Chauncey Bowens. He trips over his own teammate, and they go into the half. Not one time did they consider using Gunnar Stockton's legs like the week before. From 1 yard out, I have to question that. And I've got to question this Georgia team moving forward. But another question I have about this Georgia team is, who is Kobe Young? I mean, I've seen some flashes from this kid, and he might be what Georgia's missing. 6'3", 215 pounds. I'll have my eye on him moving forward. Yeah, he was suspended a couple games at the end of the year. This might be his time, man. This might be somebody that we need to look into. Missouri, Kansas. Now, I had Kansas winning this game. I'm going to put that out there. And this game, I believe, will come down to the veteran quarterback. And I believe he will outshine Bo Pribula in his first year at Missouri. He did. And did all that he could to assist Mizzou in getting back in this game with the untimely turnovers he had. See, Kansas had their foot firmly on the necks of Mizzou. After Mizzou scored first, then they ran off 21 points on Mizzou. Had the ball and was driving to possibly go up 3 scores, even if they get a field goal. And then Jalen Daniels fumbles. And after that, Mizzou got on track. Offense got humming. And they took over on that game. It was late. It was close late down in the end, but it wasn't enough. But Kevin Coleman, man, I have to say, he might be the receiver with the most reliable hands in the conference. And a great security blanket for Bo Pribula. You know, and this kid, man, I have to give it to him because he has come a long way from his days at Jackson State. And it's definitely proven his worthiness of being a receiver at the next level, to be quite honest. His consistency is great. And that's what you want from your receivers. You want your receivers to catch the ball. You want them to be able to be the possession receiver that gets you the possessions and gets the ball downfield. I had him on the over 4.5 receptions. I'll be riding that most of the season. Vandy, Virginia Tech. The fact that Vandy, South Carolina both play Virginia Tech, we should know a lot about these two teams as they both take on each other this weekend. But one thing that I did take away from Vandy, their run game is their calling card. 7.1 yards per rush versus Tech on 37 rushes. 6.5 yards per carry versus Charleston Southern. Florida, South Florida. Florida's back to where we started post-Miami of 2024. And this time, I'm not sure Napier will survive. See, especially when you have press conferences stressing that you'll continue to call plays after only scoring 1 touchdown versus South Florida. Yeah, I don't think that'll get you in the Gator fan base's good graces. Something's got to change. See, Mississippi State should be ranked coming up soon. So that'll make 9 out of the 10 opponents that the Gators have on their upcoming schedule as a ranked team. With those offensive talents that you expect from Lagway and Dallas Wilson and Trey Wilson, where are they at? Why aren't they being utilized like that? Lagway, 0-4 on D-balls, while only facing pressure 3 times the whole game. So I have to say it's solely not based on Napier, though it might be a culture thing, which tends to fall back on the players because it goes from the top to the bottom. Florida is like the Alabama of this week because their defensive efforts gave UCF every chance, especially on the final drive. Missed tackles, self-inflicted bonehead penalties. The Florida faithful might be looking over at the other sideline during Saturday night at Alec Golish. Like,
hey, how you doing?
The best thing Florida can do is 1, take care of business in front of them. Because like we said earlier, the road doesn't get any easier. And 2, pray that USF goes in and dominates Miami and continues to boost their resume. You know, put a little lipstick on the pig. Later this week, we're joined with Will Thomas of Tailgate Talk. We'll do start, bench, and cut. Get you all ready for this upcoming week of college football. Make sure you're following on TikTok, as I do post a lot of my SEC bets, and that's across all sports, WNBA at this time, and NFL. If it's SEC, I'm highly involved, so you could go onto my TikTok for that, at Bombo ENT Group. Coming off a strong weekend, we were able to bounce back, fell short of a heartbreaking parlay last night, but we'll save that for another day, all right? We're going to keep it all in motion, and make sure you hit the like button while you're there. tap subscribe, leave your comments, and please share if possible. Your engagement goes a long way. I'm Joe Bombo, and I'm truly appreciative of all you guys tuning in for another episode of iHeart SEC. Until next time.
There will be no other place to be. We came an hour later. There's no better place to be. iHeart SEC. That's the best I could be. iHeart SEC.